It was supposed to be a peaceful family getaway. Lily's parents, John and Claire, had planned the camping trip for months. A weekend escape to the thick, sprawling forest near their town, far from the noise of city life, would be the perfect retreat for their family of 3. But by the end of that weekend, they would be living a nightmare. The first day had gone perfectly. The sun was shining, the fire crackled brightly in the evening, and the air smelled fresh with the scent of pine. Lily, full of energy, played with her parents, wandering around the campsite, exploring the edge of the woods. As night fell, they all retired to their tents, exhausted but content. The next morning, however, everything changed. When Claire woke up, Lily was nowhere to be found. At first, she thought the girl had gone to explore a little farther into the woods, as she often did on family hikes. But as the minutes ticked by and panic began to rise, Claire woke up John. Together they called out for Lily, but there was no answer. The forest, usually full of sounds, was eerily quiet. Frightened, they began searching. They scoured the campsite and called out her name, their voices trembling with fear. After hours of searching with no sign of their daughter, Claire dialed 911. The authorities arrived quickly, and soon a search party of police officers and volunteers combed the dense forest, calling Lily's name, shouting into the thick trees. The hours turned into days, but there was no trace of the girl, no footprints, no abandoned belongings, nothing. It was as though she had vanished into thin air. The small town was abuzz with rumors. People whispered about the old stories surrounding the forest, tales of missing people, strange happenings, and an old curse that had plagued the area for centuries. There were even rumors of a hidden cave deep within the forest, an ancient forgotten place that no one dared enter. Most dismissed these stories as nothing more than superstition, but for some the whispers became terrifyingly real. John and Claire were devastated, their hope fading with each passing day. No one had any answers, and Lily seemed to have disappeared into the very earth itself. As days turned into weeks, the search slowed down, and the authorities began to focus on other cases. But Claire refused to give up. That's when she reached out to Sam Avery, a retired detective who had worked in the area years ago. Sam had a reputation for solving cases that others had long given up on. He had always been intrigued by the strange disappearances in the forest, but had never found any solid leads. Sam agreed to help, his instinct telling him there was something more to Lily's disappearance than just a lost child. Armed with a map of the area, his experience, and a determination to uncover the truth, he set off into the forest. At first, his search was methodical. He walked the paths Lily might have taken, checking the places she might have stopped. But as the days passed and no sign of the girl appeared, Sam grew more convinced that the case was more than it seemed. He couldn't shake the feeling that the forest itself was hiding something. The stories of the cave, once dismissed as nonsense, began to haunt him. On the 5th day of his search, Sam stumbled upon an old, overgrown trail hidden behind a thick curtain of ivy and brambles. It looked ancient, untouched for decades. The path was narrow, barely noticeable, and it twisted deeper into the heart of the forest. Something about it seemed wrong. But Sam felt an inexplicable pull, as though the forest was calling him down that hidden path. After hours of walking along the narrow trail, Sam came across something that made his blood run cold. A faint, broken sign that read, "The Hollow Cave." It was barely visible, its letters worn and almost illegible. The sign pointed toward a dark, gaping hole in the side of a rock formation, the entrance to a cave. Sam approached cautiously, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. Inside, the air was musty and cold, and the stone walls were covered in strange symbols, as if ancient hands had carved them there long ago. His heart pounded in his chest as he ventured further into the cave, following a series of narrow tunnels that twisted deeper beneath the earth. And then he heard it, a soft voice, a faint whisper. At first he thought it was the wind, but then it came again, more clearly, as if someone, or something, was speaking directly to him. It was faint, almost inaudible, but Sam knew what it was. It was Lily's voice. He followed the sound deeper into the cave, his pulse racing. The tunnel widened, and there, in a small alcove, was Lily, shivering, wide-eyed, and covered in dirt. Her clothes were torn, and her face was pale, but she was alive. The girl looked up, her eyes filled with fear. She scrambled backward, her eyes